I'm sure you've heard of Gen Con, Spiel, PAX. Well, I've got one for you you've probably never heard of, the African Board Game Convention. Now that's launching at the end of November, and to celebrate this, I'm going to do a video all things Africa. I'm going to pick out my top 5 African themed games, and then stay tuned to the end of the video. We're just going to have some small snippets of an interview with KC, who is the major convener of this African Board Game Convention. Let's get into it. Now, before we start this top 5, quick shout out to Sankora, the pride of Mansa Musa. You're building a university in the country Mali, and you're getting a whole bunch of prestige through these books and educating people. Brilliant, brilliant game. The other one I thought about was the family game Camel Up. Now, this is just crazy, crazy camels going around a track and you're bidding on them is so much fun and perfect for the family. But look, my number 5 African themed game, we're going to the Atiwa Range in Ghana, and we've got Atiwa by Uwe Rosenberg. Now, this game is a brilliant theme, so unique, so different. Now, these fruit bats, a mayor of a local area basically decided he's going to bring in all these fruit bats into his garden, and those fruit bats will help reforest the local community. So what's going to happen is fruit bats eat the fruit, obviously get out the seeds, and that's going to help reforest. Now, this is a standard farming game by Uwe, so if you played any of his other games, you get very similar vibes to this, but the theme itself is so brilliant. So there we go. Number 5, Atiwa. Now, number 4, we're going to the north of Africa now, and let's go to Kenya, Obelisk of the Sun. Now, this is a heavier Euro game where you're going to be drafting dice from this base of this obelisk. Now, this obelisk is based around all these Egyptian gods, and it's going to have 6 different areas, and depending on where you draft those dice from, it's going to tell you what worker placement spot you're going to be doing or what action you're going to be doing. So these dice are going to be tainted, forbidden, pure. You've also got to balance these dice, basically good and evil, but the highlight in this game is the David Turtsey solo mode. It is unbelievable. One of my favorite heavier Euros to Kenya, Obelisk of the Sun. Now, we can't talk about African themed games and not talk about Mombasa. Mombasa is a beautifully designed game from Alexander Thista. Now, the thing is, it's not the design we talk about, it's the theme. Unfortunately, the theme itself is something that's going to be close to a lot of people, and it's a subject maybe that's going to be quite sensitive to them. So let's go back in history, and we're talking about the 1800s here, and we got 1880, 1890, and the Imperial British East Africa Company brings in their trading company into Mombasa, Kenya. So at that time, a lot of these European powerhouses were trying to spread their influence all across the world. In particular, the British were trying to spread their influence across Uganda, Kenya, and also South Africa. So they decided this is going to be the central hub that they're going to bring in this trading company, and it's going to bring in all the trade goods in and out of Africa. The problem lies here is the subjects of colonization, slavery, diamond trade. There's a lot of very touchy, sensitive subjects, and for a lot of people, it's just too much. So Alexander Thista created a re-theme which is called Sky Mines, which is mining on the moon, which gives you a lot of that same gameplay, but with a different theme. Anyway, Mombasa is just a brilliant design game, but for a lot of people, that subject's just too much. So it still makes this list because, look, it is Mombasa, it is African history right there, and it is just a brilliant game. So there we go, Mombasa. Number 2, and I thought a little bit outside the square for this one. So while officially not an African themed game, this is where the world started, and the world started based out of Africa. So Eco's first continent, we are growing the world, the habitat, the animals. It's a bingo style game. So you're going to get a series of cards, and someone's going to be pulling out of a bag all these different element tokens. And each time you pull out an element, you're putting a cube on that element if you have it on your cards. And basically, once you fill up a card, you yell out Ecos. Same as yelling out bingo. Anyway, what those cards are going to do is going to give you a whole bunch of effects, and most of them are going to be building out the terrain, manipulating some animals, putting some animals out there, and that's going to be how you're going to be scoring. It is so much fun, and I like this game more than a lot of other people, and I don't know why. I just really dig it. Simple bingo style game. Can play a bit long though, so recommend it 3 players, but outside of that, a lot of fun. Eco's first continent. And my number 1 is Wild Serengeti. Now, Wild Serengeti is got some of the most beautiful meeples in any game I've ever played. This is from Bad Comet Games, and that's what they're known for. They're amazing animal meeples. Now, that's going to be the highlight on the table. But what are we doing? We're photographers out in the Serengeti. We're trying to photograph all these beautiful animals, but they need to be in the perfect scene for us to take the photo. We're going to have a whole bunch of cards. We're going to try and match those cards by putting these animals out into these different spots on the Serengeti in the right order, right animals, and we're going to be scoring those points. It's pretty simple. It's a puzzly type game. So it's going to be worker placement. We get to put our little cameras down, and those cameras let us do a few actions, like I said, get more cards, put animals out, move the animals around. But here's the fun part. Everyone else is trying to manipulate the animals so they can score their scene cards, which may not match with yours, and all of a sudden they're moving animals around, you're moving animals around. It is just such a fun, puzzly game where the meeples are truly the highlight. Wild Serengeti is my favourite African-themed board game. So look, now that we've gone through my favourite African-themed board games, there's one thing you notice. There's no actual African designers. So let's go to my interview with Casey, who is an African designer. He runs a board game convention, a whole bunch of things. Let's go check out some snippets of that interview now.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was looking for this.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay, we need to send that to Jamie, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. The only thing is that somehow we got stuck in the old classics. Old classics like chess, Scrabble, Ludo, Mancala. In fact, in Nigeria, I know of 8 different names for Mancala. And so Nigeria is a country with over 400 tribes. So each tribe have owned a concept of Mancala. Maybe just little or almost no addition to the game. So that's how much we play game. And I can also say the same for my brethren in other African countries, from Zambia to Eswatini, South Africa, Kenya. So these are people I talk with. Years later, we have, with the help of the global community, own a cafe. And in the cafe, we have close to 1,000 people from around the world. People walk into this place and they're saying, oh, I don't like to play games, or I want to play chess. I only want to play chess. But there's a tiny bit of insecurity in this statement, because once they walk in and we make them feel comfortable, and we bring out a game like Sporty, very casual game, or Cluster that was just recently released, or some of the very simple games I want to design. You now say, oh, this game doesn't make me feel dumb. That means I can play games. Or this game doesn't make me think so much. Oh, I can actually enjoy games. Right? So we've seen this stereotype being dismantled when people come into the cafe, or when we take games to them outside.
So before I talk about AbCon, because I want to talk about AbCon very shortly, but I noticed behind you have a Wingspan. Now, have you heard anything about Wingspan Africa Expansion coming out anytime soon?
Yes, definitely. I follow Jeremy Stegma a lot. I follow him. I follow Elizabeth Hargreaves. And in 2021, and I'm saying this with all humility, right? We won the Diana Jones Award in 2021, and the people that were nominated, part of them was Elizabeth Hargreaves. She's a role model, and Jamie is a role model. Stomia Games is a role model. So yes, I followed through, and we did our research, and I found out that there are actually 2 animals named after 2 states in Nigeria. One of them was the Anambra Waxfield, and I'm from Anambra State, right?
Love it.
State, yes, thank you so much. And I googled, and it's a huge thing, right? And this species of bird is only found within the region. And they also have the Cross River gorilla. So I know they will add gorilla to the game, but I hope that Anambra Waxfield features the African edition.
We'll have to petition to make sure we get that bird in the game. So I agree. Well, if Elizabeth Hargrave or Jamie Stegmeyer is watching this, that bird needs to go in. We can't move on without, I guess, talking more about AbCon. Now, AbCon is the African Board Gaming Convention. I know that there's going to be, I think, what did I write down? 65 African games going to be represented there. I think 300 plus foreign games. A lot of games for people to come and play. What I also love is you've got a kids area, so you're helping promote this to the kids. You've also got a playtesting area as well, so people can bring their designs in, people can test them out.
That's what the convention is about. It's a promotional tool for tabletop games And this year, we're hosting it in the biggest hall so far. We've spent the highest amount of money that we ever spent in awareness and publicity. We just want, someone told me something, and immediately I learned that I became calm about conventions. Conventions are not profitable. You cannot be profitable hosting conventions. However, the profit comes after the convention itself, right? That is when conventions become more profitable, not on that day, not with the tickets or with the sponsorship. It's what the relationships that are built between people, the handshake, the innovation of or the mixing of ideas that happen in that hall. That is what we are looking forward to. And that is what APCON is about. And we also hope that just like the new convention has been inspired, we hope that more conventions are inspired around Africa, not just in Nigeria.
Yes.
I guess, again, I'm going to use this stereotype. I'm so sorry, medical students, but you guys love books, boring stuff, you read a lot. So I wanted to design something that could keep him busy. Because we went to a center to play PS2 at the time, that was 2011, and he didn't like e-games. So I said, let me design a game for you. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never had an interaction with a modern game. I've never had interaction with games online. That happened years later. So I designed my first game on a cardboard. We used some components from the Ludo, we used stones, just mixed things together. And the game was called Ikubwa. Years later, I named it Ikubwa, which is greatness in Swahili. So the idea was just our own games, my own games that I used to carry around to people. And when we did an Indiegogo campaign, and it just blew. We got the fund. It was just crazy. We got the fund, and people started now sending their own games, and now we have games from different places, right? So that was how. But the intention was, I needed to design a game. I couldn't find a place, so I did it myself. I needed to manufacture a game. I couldn't find a place. I did it myself, and then we wanted to promote games. And the same goes for the African Board Games Convention. It started in 2016, and that was. When I started going online and I saw Spiel, I saw GenCon, I saw Spark Unplugged, I saw BGGCon, I saw so many cons from around the world. How about we start something like that, right?
The amazing thing is here, what you're doing is building a community. So by helping these people get their design actually made and you've got an end product in front of them, that's building community because they're then sharing that with their friends who gets excited, then they're sharing with their friends, and all of a sudden this board gaming, journey is starting for a whole bunch of new people, and a lot of it is due to you supporting them and helping them, with their ideas and their design.
Make it possible. It's a beautiful process.
Have you got a couple of those games now we can have a look at?
Oh, yes, please. They love this.
Oh, that is awesome.
We made this for a client. This for another client.
I won't even try and pronounce that. I'll ruin that.
This actually means money in Yoruba language. So
Nice.
Yes, there is mostly.
These look amazing.
So many. They're not just the hunts.
The hunt.
Baby.
Let's just leave the video on this. Just a little bit of information about the hunt. Leopards Journey.
Hey there, and welcome to Leopard Games Tutorials. My name is Casey, and on this segment, I'll be teaching you how to play the Hunt a Leopards Journey. These are 2 to 6 player games that take roughly between 50 to 90 minutes, depending on the number of players, for anyone above the age of 9. In this game, players take on the role of spirit guards, guiding their 2 leopards through 4 different habitats to hunt the best animal with the best points to win the game. But before I go further, it's important to say that I do not support the indiscriminate killing of animals, whether for fun or for sport. The Hunt a Leopard's Journey contains the following mechanics: open card drafting, dice rolling, resource management, resource distribution, set collection, command cards, and illustrated animals, 25 in each habitat. This is for the tree. This is for water habitat. This is for air habitat. Finally, this is for the land habitat. then reveal each animals for each habitat. And we have the dice. There are 8 dice in the game. The rich die, the poacher's die, which is a D10, and 6 D6 resource dice. And of course, we have our rule book with graphic